In this video, we're going to be talking about how COVID-19 has affected real estate here in Austin, Texas. I'm going to be bouncing back and forth between Travis County and Williamson County. We're going to look at some data from March and April as well as in May. And also at the end of the video, I'm going to be talking about how Austin has bounced back relative to other cities in the United States. My name is Raj Sahu. I'm a realtor with Keller Williams Realty. Let's get right into it. Starting off with Travis County here on the following infographic, you're looking at March data of 2020 compared to 2019. So looking at the top left of the infographic, price has gone up over 13%. This really shouldn't be too surprising. Supply has continued to remain low in Austin. Demand has continued to remain high. If those two things do not change, it's very difficult to see why prices would not continue to go up. Of course, with March, the COVID-19 didn't really have its effect until middle of March, where our shelter-in-place orders in Texas took place. So don't expect too much of a change here other than active listings. So, of course, we see a huge drop in active listings at that time. Understandably, I think a lot of sellers did not want random people walking through their house, especially if they're still living there and they had their furniture in there. Definitely an interesting time if you can think back to what it was like to live in March of 2020. So active listings dropping over 22%. That made sense. A lot of people just temporarily withdrew their property and then put it back on market a month or two later. Some people just withdrew it completely. So of course we were going to see a drop. I think that was expected. Closed sales still up. That's going to be, people that went under contract in January and February. So again, not going to see too much of an impact there. And then months of inventory, really want to focus in on this just because this is the leading indicator of pricing, or whether it's going to be a buyer's market or a seller's market. So the Real Estate Center at Texas A&M, when they do their research, which they've done for decades, what they usually say is a healthy market where neither buyer or seller really has too much leverage in the transaction, it's going to be around 6 to 6.5 months of housing inventory. What that means is if new listings stop today, how long would it take to sell off all active listings that are currently on market? Again, 6 to 6.5 months would be a healthy market. We're in 1.6 months of inventory, which is definitely a seller's market where sellers really have the power and can negotiate when it comes to going under contract. This is definitely the factor that we're going to be looking at. Even neighborhood by neighborhood, there are neighborhoods in Austin where this is as low as 1 month of inventory. There are other neighborhoods where there's a lot of new construction where this can get closer to 4 to 5 months of inventory. Also, price point's going to be a factor, so I'll cover that at the end of this video and come back to this. But what I'd like to move on to would be Williamson County. Moving to Williamson County, very similar numbers. Price is still up, over 4%. Closed sales still went up. Active listings did go down, just like Travis County. Again, it made sense in the month of March for that to happen. And one thing I need to mention in Travis County, days on market did come down, and the same happened for Williamson County. I would really focus on the specific neighborhoods when it comes to days on market, because you'll have areas like, for example, Avery Ranch, which is extremely hot. It's just north of where Apple is planning to build their second headquarters, and Apple will, according to them, eventually become the largest private employer in all of Austin based on the amount of employees that they'll have. And so the Avery Ranch has a very short days on market compared to other areas that are much further out of the city. So I'd really focus days on market neighborhood by neighborhood. And then again, months of inventory also down for Williamson County. What we really wanted to focus on was the month of April compared to the month of March, because where that trend was going in different statistics was really going to show the impact that we were going to see in the summer for Austin real estate. So let's get into that. And the good news with Travis County, price is still up. I had a lot of people call me in March and April saying, have prices been affected? And the simple answer was, the prices of real estate do not get affected usually as fast as the stock market does. The stock market, being traded based on forward guidance, it's going to be affected drastically when a pandemic hits like this, whereas real estate lags behind a little bit. And here in Austin, that's exactly what we saw. Prices still up from April of this year compared to April of last year. And what we were really monitoring is, are people going to get the confidence back to put their listings back on market? And we definitely saw a lot of that, where people who took a break in mid-March maybe waited for a month or maybe waited till beginning of April and felt like they had the confidence to put their property back on market. And we see that with active listings only down 12.8% in April compared to March, which saw a decrease of 22.4%. So we're seeing that head in the right direction. And also with pricing, this is all based on supply and demand. So if the listings go down, supply has already been historically low for the last 10 years in Austin. For it to go even lower, that really didn't help with prices. Meaning if you are a buyer and you're expecting to get a really good deal, we didn't really see a lot of that in most neighborhoods in Austin. Closed sales down. This is where we really saw an impact from people taking their property off market in March. And if we don't have a lot of properties going under contract in March, we're going to see closed sales go down in April, as typically around 30 to 45 days it takes to close, or I would say more so around 30 days. That's why we saw this huge decrease in sales. Months of inventory still down, and days on market still down in Travis County. Moving to Williamson County, again, we're seeing similar numbers. Median price still up over 6%. And active listings down only 4%. And this was a very good sign. Again, we need listings coming back on market. Otherwise, buyers who are already fighting over properties in most areas, they're going to be fighting for what's even more of a limited inventory. So it was really good to see people come back and put their properties on market. Again, closed sales down. That's expected with a lot of properties going off market in March. And then months of inventory still low. Days on market getting even less in Williamson County. Overall, what I would say, what's happened in March with that huge decrease, we're seeing a lot of confidence come back in April. I'm going to show you some stats here in a second in Austin compared to other cities in the U.S. But one thing I wanted to mention was also look at price point. If you look at price points of properties over $1.3 million, you'll see their months of inventory were around like 7 months, and now it's going closer to 10 months of inventory. And as we said before, if you're below 6 months of housing supply, you're going to be looking at more of a seller's market. But if you're going over 6 months of housing supply or housing inventory, that's when it's more of a buyer's market. So there are certain price points, in this case of being $1.3 million and higher, where we are seeing more of a buyer's market where you can negotiate at a much better success rate as a buyer in some of those neighborhoods that have those properties at such a high value. Let's move it into Austin compared to other cities. I think this will put things really in perspective on how things are bouncing back. This was the infographic I was referring to earlier, showing Austin compared to other cities in the U.S. Big shout out to MikeDP.com. He has a great website where you can post some cities and different statistics, and it's very interactive, very informative. And so what I'm showing here are pending sales year over year with a 7-day rolling average. It starts in January of this year and goes to May 18th. And one thing I would point out, which we mentioned earlier, is obviously we saw that drop at the end of March for pending sales, heading into beginning of April. And, some of these cities saw a drastic drop in pending sales. Of course, it's going to happen with sellers taking their properties off market and some buyers becoming a little bit hesitant with buying. But what I want to show is how fast we've bounced back. In the month of April, a lot of buyers and sellers gained confidence in putting their property back on market or buying into real estate. And that also continued in the month of May, as we see Austin has bounced back very well. Another city, Denver, bouncing back really well. Shouldn't be too surprised, Austin and Denver, two lifestyle cities that people continue to want to move to. And so I don't really think that's changed much. We just saw that, 2 to 4 week period where people were very hesitant, but then just needed, confidence to get back into the swing of things. And I don't say this as a brag over other cities. I'm very hopeful that other cities in America continue to bounce back. And I think that's happened everywhere. New York City, of course, has seen quite a hit being the epicenter of coronavirus, but very hopeful that they bounce back, as well as everybody in the U.S. I hope this helped. If this does help and you are looking at buying and selling real estate here in Austin, I'm happy to help. Feel free to reach out to me either on the platform that you're viewing this video, or you can call or text my direct number, which is 512-677-7917. Again, Raj Sahu with Keller Williams Realty. Hope this helps. Take care, everybody.